You're very welcome back. Now time for some of your comments. We're speaking about the tale of a Mrs. Claus outfit that was malused by some poor man's future son-in-law. Basically, they're wearing it for sexy time. But Joanne says, it'll be a fun story to tell around the table for Thanksgiving, that's for sure. And Don says, cancel Thanksgiving. There's no coming back from that one. We were also speaking about this father who brings his daughter into the women's toilet because she's only 4, and there's a bit of a row online about that, whether it's right or not. Elizabeth says, he did right. Apologise as he goes in. Women are in cubicles anyway, and coughing helps. Helen says, coughing helps? That doesn't make sense to me. Helen says, I agree with him, or use the disabled toilet. People will understand. Anyway, moving on. My next guests both feature in the recent film The Drummer and the Keeper, which focuses on the unlikely friendship struck up between the drummer of a rock band and a teen with Asperger's syndrome. It has just been voted the best feature film at the Irish Film Awards in London just the other day, and is now available on DVD and on Virgin On Demand. Let's take a look.
What height do you get?
1 metre 80 centimetres.
Told you.
Well, that was cheating.
Yeah? Under what rule?
Christopher, sit this out for a few minutes, okay?
Yeah.
Take a break. What was that all about?
It's just a joke.
Okay, the goal stands 1-0. Georgina, you're in goals now, okay?
He's completely overreacting.
Yeah, don't worry about it, son.
No, but if that's how he deals with anything that doesn't go exactly his way, I mean, how's he gonna get on in the real world?
Well, maybe he's not. Look, I know you're bipolar and all, but try not to be an as well.
Please welcome the wonderful Hannah Mamalis and Peter Coonan. Now, we can't find the clip of the two of you together in the movie because you're not actually in it at all.
We're in that scene, actually, yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you really?
I'm the ball.
And as actors, I have to say now, with all the rubbish that's going on at the moment between the film industry, the theatre industry, the television industry, everything else, and we kind of sometimes lose sight of why we do what we do. I watched this movie over the weekend. I actually paid for it. See, I support. Went on demand. I paid my $5.95, and it actually brought me down to earth, and this is why we do what we do. We make beautiful, beautiful stories, and I have to say, this one touched my heart particularly. First of all, Peter, tell me, how did you get involved in this production?
Well, I worked with Nick previously on a short film called Shoe in about 2010. It was like the second professional gig I did, I think. And it was a beautiful short, once again tackling a very difficult issue, which was suicide by a young man jumping off a cliff. And Pat Kinvin was in it as well. It did quite well. But so I stuck friends with Nick for quite so many years, and then he rang me and asked me if I'd do the film. Yeah. And it was a matter of just when. Yeah, and your character in it, I would like to say I loved your character in it. Basically, you're one of the main two guys. He's the drummer, Gabriel. You're in the band with him, and you're his buddy as well. You're living with him. So tell us about your role in this. Well, he's the bass player in the band, but also, yeah, he's the connection between Dermot's character and the rest of the lads in the band. So when it comes to when his erratic behaviour has become uncontrollable and it's affecting the band in a negative way, he is the one who has to tell him that he's gone. But we actually don't tell him. He finds out in a very more difficult way. So there's a bit of, like, you know, he's a bit sly and a bit backhanded in how he does it, but at the same
a good
time,
heart, but in a dodgy situation.
Yeah,
really.
you kind of have to be cruel to be kind sometimes. I think. But I think it was a very enjoyable film to work on. And Nick, you know, I knew that Nick had written this. I've been writing for like 6 or 7 years, so going into it, you knew that it was well written, well planned, and that it was everyone working on it was at the top of their game. And that was the case. Because when you think of movies about that touch on mental illness, like the two main characters, and this one is Asperger's, one is bipolar disorder, you don't see a lot of that portrayed in mainstream movies. You don't see a lot of it on TV shows. And what struck me about all the characters in this, from the major people who are playing the major roles to the little tiny little nuanced performances, it got everything spot on. Because I'll bring you in on this, Hannah. You play Kira, and you don't say much. No, not at all. You're in the home with
Christopher, yeah.
Who is he's Asperger's. You have autism in this, and I have to say it portrayed everything from the different spectrums of autism to the difference with Asperger's and the whole the kind of funny fights they have in between it, and it's just beautifully done. How did you get your role done so perfectly? Because the performances are actually really nuanced and perfect, I think, in this.
I think what was really helpful for us, everybody who was playing somebody on the autism spectrum, we got to meet a lot of the guys. A lot of the guys in my scene at the end in the band are on the autism spectrum, have Asperger's. So we got to spend a lot of time with the guys and be able to chat to them, you know, about in terms of what the experience is for them, how, you know, the stereotypes and how those aren't the case a lot of the time, and how, you know, the having Asperger's or autism is very unique to the person. And that's something that I think Jacob, who plays Christopher, got across really well. I remember him talking about it. He said that when he was developing his character, it was about finding who the character is first, their personality, who they are, and then it's, you know, looking at the Asperger's.
I loved it, and you were saying he won Best Actor as well the other night. But it was really funny because one of the lines that I loved, he was saying to Gabriel, you have a mental illness, I don't, I have a disorder, and that's it. That's the very linear thinking that you get with that, and it was brought across perfectly. But Nick, the writer and the director, his personal experience of this, you were saying a little earlier, it was because of his son, and he's spoken about this as well. So it's really nice to get that kind of personal touch in a script like this. Can I ask you, what do you think of the film industry in general at the moment in Ireland? Because before we kind of depended on the big Hollywood blockbusters to come in, like the Bravehearts, but it seems to be the smaller ones that are kind of blossoming and coming out now. Do you find as an actor it's a nice thing to be part of? Do you feel there's a difference?
Yeah, I think the Irish film industry is at a very interesting point. I think, like I was saying to Hannah just before we came on, that there's a lot of Irish films now being written by directors writing movies that are getting big stars from America to come over, like Ellen Page and Emil Hirsch is coming over to do a film.
Ellen Page, wow.
Was over doing a film called The Cured, with David Frayne directed, about zombies. Tom Vaughan was in it. But you know, to get Ellen Page to come over to do these films, and Emil Hirsch in turn to come over and do a film that is written by an Irish director, it's kind of showing what's going on in Hollywood, is that they're making blockbusters a lot of the time. So a lot of these actors, true actors who want to dig their teeth into good roles, you know, they're getting very interesting work outside of America, which is kind of great for us as well. And within that, Irish films are doing very well outside of Ireland in America as well. So it's an exciting time to be involved.
Because I think there's a huge difference between somebody who wants to be a movie star and someone who wants to be an actor. And someone who wants to be a movie star wants the Hollywood trappings, they want the fame, they want this, they want to be Superman, Batman, that sort of stuff. They're not interested in developing their characters. And I think a lot of people misunderstand that it is a craft, and it's a craft that's hard learned. I don't know how. I tried it, failed miserably. It's very, very difficult to immerse yourself in all these different roles. So it's fantastic when you have these big, huge stars, because they don't want to be movie stars. They might have happened upon it. They want to be actors and have these decent roles. I know you do a lot of comedy as well, but how did you find this particular role for you? Do you have a preference in what you like to do and what you want to do?
This, for me, was really interesting because, I mean, the character of Kira, she is a young woman who has autism, and typically, actually, women are quite underrepresented in terms of women who have autism and who have Asperger's in TV and film.
I can't think of one, actually.
No, it's usually kind of young men, or you know, men in general. So it was nice to be able to explore that. It was funny chatting to one of the girls who we met before we started filming. You know, she was saying that it's actually quite difficult to spot in women sometimes, because women and girls are very good at mimicking. When they have autism or Asperger's, they mimic the other girls, and it's harder to spot. So there are lots of different layers that are really interesting in kind of exploring that within Kira, which was
absolutely
attractive to me.
And not a massive role. Like, neither of you have, you're not two of the main stars in it, but they're very important piece of the overall jigsaw of the movie. So anyway, back to you now. What's next in store for you? Because I know you got madly famous because of your own love-hate business but you probably never get rid of that from around the yoke around your neck that you have. So what next are you working on?
To have around your neck.
Yeah.
I just finished a feature called Dark Lies the Island, which is adapted from Kevin Barry's short stories, which was an excellent experience, a challenging role. And then next year there's Belly the Whale is coming out, directed by Morgan Bush, and then another film called We Always Lived in the Castle, which is an American film that was shot here last year. So
yeah, are you going to be a sweet, lovely person in any of these films now? Because I really want you to be a nice person soon, because you're starting to scare me. What's your ideal
there's
role?
a
What's your
human element to all the
but
characters.
of course there is an evil person with a bit of heart. But like, what's your ideal role? Would you be happy to do a lot of comedy, or what sort of thing are you open to now?
I'm kind of happy to do anything really. I mean, I did a very interesting comedy piece with T.G. Carr, which was called Wrecking the Rising, which was brilliantly written. The writer James Phelan subsequently won an IFTA, but it was comedy, and it was like I think it's the most difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
And it was challenging, but it turned out quite well.
Yeah.
Like, it was relatively funny. I think the thing about it was that I just had to kind of play it as seriously as possible, so that then the humour in the script came out. You know, you try and be funny, you just. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, and The Drummer of the Keeper, of course, is out now on DVD, and I was delighted to see it on demand, because I had the DVD physically. I was like, I don't actually have a DVD player anymore, and it just happened to pop up. And I said, right, that's grand, I can do my little bit of research here. And when I did watch it, I have to say, it's the most heartwarming, gorgeous film I've seen in a very long time. And it kind of renewed my faith in the craft that we all get involved in, really. So thank you both so much for coming on the show today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Now, time for a quick break, but when we come back, the novel traveller Michelle Jackson joins us with perfect Christmas gifts for your loved ones who love to travel. See, I did.